A political row's broken out over the announcement by a company in Ashfield that it's cutting more than 100 jobs and switching them to Bulgaria. The firm's boss made a donation to the Liberal Democrats and the company has been visited by Nick Clegg. Our political editor John Hess has more details.
Walking tall, Nick Clegg and the MD of Autofill, Anthony Ullman, accompanied by Ashfield's Lib Dem parliamentary candidate Jason Zadrozny. The talk then was of the benefits of EU membership for a growing business like this.
95% of what is manufactured here is exported directly into the single market. If we were yanked out of that because of political extremism, this part of the world would be much poorer off.
The firm makes yarn for car seats, and the jobs of its 163 workers looked secure until last week. Then came the body blow. Production is to transfer next year to Milan in Italy and eventually to Bulgaria. So why is that? Well, the company says that production costs are much lower in Bulgaria. But in all the recent talk about the free movement of EU migrants, workers here have had a sharp reminder of the EU's free movement of capital and jobs.
We have actually said if there's anything we can do, but
to save the jobs.
Yeah.
Outside the factory on the Sherwood Park estate at Annesley, production worker Andy Day tells Ashfield MP Gloria De Piero about the mood inside now and the sense of disbelief.
When I first started at Autofill 14 years ago, my wage was double the minimum wage. My wage is now £9.45, which is nowhere near like double. So we've saved massively on costs like that. We've been really flexible as a workforce. We've adapted for everything but what the management have set us, with shift patterns and everything. We've in 18 years we've not had one day off in industrial disputes. Whatever they've asked for, we've done.
Gloria De Piero has revealed that Autofill's boss paid £30,000 into the Sheffield Hallam constituency coffers of Nick Clegg. The payment was made the same month as the Deputy Prime Minister's visit to Autofill, according to the Parliamentary Register of Members' Interests.
That money should be distributed amongst the workers as a hardship fund rather than spent on leaflets. I also know, the local Liberal Democrat candidate here, he was in Autofill 6 days before these proposed redundancies were announced. What did he know? When? I don't want people having cosy chats with management. The only conversation any of us need to be having now is how can we support the workforce and keep these jobs in Ashfield, not Bulgaria, not Italy. These are skilled jobs.
The Liberal Democrats have been telling journalists that Mr Ullman and Nick Clegg are old friends and that there's no connection between the political donation and his visit here last November. Away from the politics, there remains the uncertainty over the jobs here and for other East Midland manufacturers. The message from the local enterprise partnership is be prepared.
We saw Imperial Tobacco last year, Thorsby Colliery looking like it's closing, and this is the latest. So it's an economy that, yes, is improving and improving significantly, but I think as it's in transition, there will be some changes and there will be shocks.
Whether it's the EU or political donations, workers at Autofill are already having their fair share of shocks and change.
Well, joining us to discuss this is Jason Zadrozny, the Liberal Democrats candidate for Ashfield. Jason, clearly these job losses in Ashfield are bad news for the area. You're accusing Labour MP Gloria De Piero of playing politics, but she's unhappy about this donation by the MD of Autofill Worldwide, which is now shedding all these jobs.
Well, firstly, of course, it's a terrible thing that these jobs are going. But I think, firstly, Gloria's repeated this suggestion a number of times in a letter to me and in your VT just then, that I somehow knew about these job losses ahead of time. And that is just ridiculous. I didn't know anything.
She said, what did you know and when did you know,
I knew nothing about the job losses until after the members of staff knew about them. The first I heard were some from some.
It should be.
Yeah, were from some of the members of staff. And I think it's really sad actually in local politics that this has become a political football and Gloria's muddied the water instead of doing some of the really positive things that she needed to do as our MP. Some of the things that I've done, like speaking to the business secretary, like speaking to Job Centre about their rapid response team, like speaking to the managing director about what sort of redundancy and retraining packages are. There are 160 families here and they should be the priority, not political point scoring.
To be fair to Gloria, who isn't here clearly, she wants to talk to the the unions, and she wants to try and help and support those workers from what she's told us. But she also wants that 30 grand donation put into some sort of fund for those workers who are losing their jobs. That's not such a bad idea, is it?
And I just think she's playing politics. What she's done is talked about an individual private donation from the director of the company who donated to Nick, they've been friends for a long time, and it's got nothing to do with the redundancies and nothing to do with the job losses. And what she's doing is playing politics instead of doing some of the positive things that you and I have just discussed, and I think that's a real shame.
Is Gloria Di Piero playing politics here? Is Labour playing politics?
Gloria Di Piero is actually fighting like a tigress for the jobs in her constituency, and that's exactly what a local member of parliament should be doing.
Concentrating on the wrong thing by focusing on this donation?
No, what she's trying to do is actually bring a package together, work with management, work with the trade unions to ensure that people, many of whom are former miners who'd lost jobs in a previous life, so to speak, that those people are given a fair deal. And it is odd that Jason appears at the factory. Apparently they don't talk about a very, very significant thing that's going to happen, and £30,000 goes to Nick Clegg. There are questions to be answered, and I think it's absolutely fair that this programme and the local Member of Parliament ask those questions and get a straight answer. I don't think we've had that today.
Well, let me tell you what Anthony Ullman, who's the Managing Director of Autofill Worldwide, has told us. He's at pains to say in a statement to the Sunday Politics that any funds donated to the Liberal Party are private contributions made by himself, he says, and they have no connection to his business.
Well,
so
they've left their friend in the local Liberal Party swinging on this one in that case. Either he knew, in which case he should have said something, or he didn't know, in which case he ought to be banging on their door saying, why have you embarrassed me in this way?
Graham, I think you've been embarrassed because Gloria's simply not told you the truth. To say she's fighting like a tigress is such a disservice to the residents that I'm worried about in Ashfield. 160 families, and all Gloria's done is tweet a picture of herself outside and sent one letter to the chief executive. We need to do something.
Let's move on from Gloria Di Piero and this donation. The sad irony here, Nicky Morgan, is that this company is supporting the European idea of free movement of labour, and yet it's losing these jobs to Bulgaria.
Yeah, well, clearly that's obviously, again, very devastating for the people whose jobs are going to be affected. And I do wonder, and I just don't know because it's not in my constituency, what conversations there have been before this announcement were made, as I say, about the support that can be on offer from the local enterprise partnership, from local councils, from the Regional Growth Fund. And I suppose that's the question we should be asking, is what approaches were made for help to the company before this announcement were made?
This is one of the things, Graham, isn't it really, that bothers people most about Europe is, seeing us, again, missing out to other countries, it seems.
Absolutely, that's exactly why you need an active local MP. All those things that Nicky's just mentioned, I can guarantee that Gloria is across those. She's one of the most active people you find in the House of Commons. But of course, she's right to raise questions about donations as well.
Is it that people could be made redundant more easily in this country than they can in other European countries?
I don't think that's the case. What's happening here is undercutting. We've got an employer who's going to find cheaper labour elsewhere. He's then going to move from Italy to Bulgaria, allegedly. Quite frankly, the Liberal Party and others should be fighting hard to say to people, keep those jobs in areas like Ashfield, very high unemployment areas, rather than having sweetheart conversations where donations are either not mentioned at all or are mentioned, and we're still not clear about that one.
This is doing my residents an enormous disservice because let's face it, what's happening is
that's the easy answer to that.
The biggest
exactly what he knew at the time that he was in the office with the manager, and what is his view about being left swinging high and dry on a big donation to his party, and he wasn't even told about that.
Let's just sum up why people are slightly fed up with politics and politicians. I mean, I don't know the details, and it's not my constituency, and I think that people listening to this debate are going to think, stop talking about donations. It's very important, political party funding. We can talk about union funding, we can talk about donations.
You're not exactly a saint as yourself in the Conservative Party, taking big money from some of these very large companies
but we're not here,
who are also exporting jobs.
But the point is, Graham, actually, that people want to know what's going to happen about jobs here in the East Midlands. It's a second story, as you have pointed out. There are schemes available from the government, from local enterprise partnerships, from the councils. And the other point is, of course, we do get companies investing in the East Midlands, but unfortunately this week we've had two pieces of bad news.
We certainly have. One final point, Jason.
Well, I just think we need to get round the table very quickly. I'm happy to do that with a local MP, to talk to union bosses, to talk about training and redundancy packages to make sure that the people who are losing their jobs get the best deal they can.
Okay, Jason. Okay, thank you very much.